And Rebecca, what's Sag-Aftra?
Sag-Aftra is the Screen Actors Guild.
And the fat tarantula ran away?
Sadly, no. I love all of my fat tarantulas deeply, but no.
Hi, I'm Teresa.
And I'm Rebecca.
And you're watching
Cocoon Cast. On today's show, we are going to be reviewing the new movie, Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1.
And on our Retro Rewind, we will be reviewing Night and Day. We also have some startling Hollywood news.
Sag-Aftra slides into strike.
And we welcome you, cinema community. This is our first episode of Cocoon Cast. And we also encourage you to stay till the end where we have some post-credit scenes. Today we are also celebrating Shark Awareness Day. Now you're aware. Also, it is high allergy season where we are, and Rebecca sounds like a frog today.
Eep it.
Let's get started. Okay, Rebecca, let's get into Mission Impossible.
Ethan Hunt might be, for only the second time in his life, living in peace. But this peace is shattered when a close friend reveals a secret project that could destroy the intelligence community and Ethan's carefully crafted life along with it. With a new mission on the table, Ethan will have to choose between two impossibilities: keeping his life as is and keeping the world safe for everyone else.
Okay, Rebecca, tell us who is in the Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning movie.
Well, it's a nice assorted cast, but for our review purposes this week, we're going to focus on Tom Cruise as our main man, Ethan Hunt. Mm-hmm. We also have a newcomer to the franchise, Haley Atwell as the mysterious thief Grace.
Oh, yeah.
Who joins the IMF team for their hijinks. And we're also going to focus on another returning face, Rebecca Ferguson as Ilsa Faust.
That's right. I remember her too. Okay, sounds good. So music, are you familiar with the music?
Yeah, Lauren Balfe is pretty cool. He did the last two Mission Impossible movies, also teaming up with Christopher McQuarrie. He's also done the music for Black Widow, which I have, and he's also done some additional work with Hans Zimmer. Hans Zimmer is really great about spotlighting new composers and really bringing them to the attention of the rest of us.
The music was great. The music was absolutely fabulous. And directing, tell us about the director, Rebecca.
The directing duties are once again picked up by Christopher McQuarrie. Mm-hmm. He's done a fabulous job with the last two Mission Impossibles, so it's kind of cool to see the band being brought back together for this one.
One of the things I noticed, the length of time the movie was 2 hours, 50 minutes.
Yeah, this was a solid almost 3-hour movie.
That was a long movie. Did it feel like almost 3 hours to you?
Yeah, it felt like a 2.5-hour movie to me. It felt pretty, and there's some scenes that were kind of veered a little long, so it was kind of getting closer to the 3-hour mark, but there's other scenes I felt kind of zipped along.
Okay. Well, it sounds like you weren't bored. A lot of action. We'll talk a little bit about that. Some of the action, some of the scenes. PG-13 rating? PG-13 rating. Budget was a little bit, I found this interesting. The budget was $290 million. And a few weeks ago, we saw Dial of Destiny, the fifth installment of Indiana Jones' fifth one. And that had a budget of $295. So this actually came in under budget, or excuse me, compared to the Indiana Jones movie, slightly under budget. That actually surprised me.
That's correct. Tom Cruise has been very vocal about the de-aging process, and it's something that he didn't want to do for this movie. So I imagine that saved $5 million right off the bat.
Well, and he produced.
Yes.
And actively very involved in this franchise. I don't know what his salary was that he took, but
I have no idea either.
I don't either, but I know from what I've read, from what I understand, is he loves this franchise, did a lot of the stunts. I know that made it into the public media.
Yes. Anytime there's a Mission Impossible movie, there's almost guaranteed to at least be 4 or 5 fluffy articles about Tom Cruise did this wild thing.
And honestly, in this movie, he did a lot of wild things.
Yeah, there's one that's highlighted in the trailer that a lot of people keep talking about over and over again, and honestly, it doesn't look the same on the film. You have it from a different angle, so it's not like, oh man, I'm watching the trailer scene again. But agreed. I did enjoy seeing it.
I know we chose to see it on IMAX, and early on, maybe the first 5 or 10 minutes of the movie, one of the projectors went out. They weren't able to repair it. They were able to resume the movie, but the lighting was a little bit dimmer. We weren't sure. Maybe we missed a few scenes from the IMAX perspective. Still enjoyable, still a really great movie, but unfortunately I feel like we missed something, and I really do believe if you see it on IMAX or Dolby, you'll probably have a little bit of a different experience than we did based on that. Would you agree with that?
I'm going to assume that's the case. I know McQuarrie has specifically spoken out how there's certain sequences that he believes that IMAX is best suited for. And Tom Cruise has definitely pointed out, especially during the production of Top Gun Maverick, that IMAX is a valuable tool that should be included in every filmmaker's kit when necessary.
Well, and my understanding, too, is Tom Cruise is highly advocating for an IMAX experience for people. Is that correct?
That's correct. There's been some trade rumors floating around that he was not happy that Oppenheimer got the IMAX slot.
Sure, I was reading that as well.
It seems to be water under the bridge, though. He said that he's going to be doing the Barbenheimer double feature soon.
That's right, and that's next week, and we will be reviewing next week on Cocoon Cast Oppenheimer.
And the following week is going to be Barbie and Haunted Mansion.
That is correct.
So stay tuned.
We're coming up with some good ones. And I know, Rebecca, we always agree on the movies we'll see.
Yes.
We both agreed Mission Impossible was the one we wanted to see. Did you have some specific reasons for wanting that one?
Number one, Teresa brought this up earlier. Mission Impossible is a long-running franchise in the minds of the American consciousness.
Long-running franchise.
And it's really cool to see different directors have their take on it. I've been really impressed with McQuarrie's saga, if you will.
Sure.
So I wanted to see how he continued, especially with a two-parter. The other thing is, this franchise was delayed during COVID. Tom Cruise would not rest until everybody saw this in a COVID-free environment. So that means it's in wide release, which means our cinema community has a pretty good chance of seeing this movie. And I continually point this franchise out as an action franchise that doesn't get stale, that it continually gets better as time goes on.
And as you were saying, Rebecca, too, Tom Cruise, I've read multiple interviews with him where he really talks about going to the movie, seeing it on the big screen. We laugh about with Cocoon Cast, our goal is to help facilitate a cinema community where we can go to movies together, talk about movies together, and enjoy movies on the big screen. Understanding that, sure, lots of times based on our retro rewind, we will watch movies at home. However, when movies such as this one, action movies, exciting movies come out, there's something special about seeing it in the theater. And to hear Tom Cruise advocating for that, there's a little blip in the beginning. I'm sure some of our cinema community has seen where you go to the movies and the director or the actors, maybe sometimes the producers will say, hey, thanks for coming. We're really glad you came out. There is a small little blip where Tom Cruise actually does that again. So he really is an advocate for seeing this movie in the theater. And as you said, advocating for an IMAX experience.
And Tom is one of the actors in Hollywood who will put his money where his mouth is.
That is correct. Well, I know for me, 7 movies, 7 movies. Sometimes 7 movies can feel intense to me. Even though I may like the characters, I may like the franchise, 7 just feels a lot. However, for this franchise you and I were talking about, we were looking forward to it coming out. It didn't feel like it dragged. It didn't feel like they're running out of ideas, but Tom Cruise still wants to make movies and jump out of, I don't think he jumped out of an airplane on this one.
Jumped on the side of a plane.
Jumped on the side of a plane, plane, train, motorcycle. What did Tom Cruise not do? He did not jump out of an airplane on this
It's
one.
easier to list the stuff that Tom Cruise did not do in this movie.
That is the truth. That is the truth. I'm laughing. He still had a parachute, but no plane.
Leave it to Tom Cruise.
Yeah, leave it to Tom Cruise to do this. So I would say I still enjoyed that. I enjoy Tom Cruise as an actor. Mm-hmm. And as you were saying, new faces, old faces, it flowed pretty well in my mind.
The casting department's pretty top-notch on this.
Agreed.
Granted, there's sometimes, compared to like Fast X, where I'll look at this and I'll go, oh man, I wish they would have got so-and-so, but I'm pretty happy with the results that they get.
Well, and you like the supporting cast. We have talked about the supporting cast several times. Again, 7 movies. We've had opportunity to talk about this more than once. Yes. The supporting cast you like a lot.
Yeah, I'm a huge advocate for the supporting cast really making these movies what they are in this franchise. Probably my first or second experience with Andy Newton was Mission Impossible.
And for the cinema community who may not know who Andy Newton is
Andy Newton is an amazing actress. She's been more well known to the general public in Westworld. I really recommend that. A really good exposure to her character work.
Oh, okay. Sure.
She definitely has talked about her experiences not being super positive, but I still enjoy seeing her in these movies.
No, the acting was definitely top-notch. Screenplay, what were your thoughts around the screenplay?
It's a little bit more tightly written than previous installments. I wasn't as engrossed in it, but it was pretty solid for the topic that they're talking about. And I'm being vague on purpose. I don't want to spoil anything, but it's kind of cool to find out that there's still things about Ethan Hunt that we don't know.
Well, inconsistency. Well, we can talk a little bit about that in the screenplay, his character, because the acting, Tom Cruise, I know some people may think of him still as jumping on the couch with Katie Holmes, or
that's still a very resonant cultural image in a lot of people's minds.
And I would say he's definitely more of an actor in my mind than just who he is in his personal life. And who he is in his personal life, there's, love him or hate him, there's some really great things about him as a person, I think. He seems to be invested in movies as a perfectionist. I think going to one of his movies, I would say I believe it's a good experience.
Yeah, for the most part, I have a positive experience with Tom Cruise's creative work.
I would agree with that. Do we have any questions from the box regarding this movie?
This movie was billed as a part 1 of 2. Do you think they could have maybe crunched some of the story down and actually had a single movie, or does it really make sense, and did it fill up that part 1 really well?
I think this is a definite part 1 just because of some of the creative decisions they made. I feel like they couldn't have crunched it down. If you did, you'd lose a lot of the character depth that's created in this movie.
Well, to me, the movie felt foundational, meaning introducing new characters, changing the team, Tom Cruise's team up. I don't know if you could have done that successfully in a shorter amount of time. And it's tricky to say part 1, part 2 when you don't know what's going to be part 2. To me, this felt very foundational laying. Again, not a knowing what to expect in the second one.
Yes.
Do we have any questions from the box?
Did you appreciate the fact that they said it will be a part 1, as opposed to Into the Spider-Verse, where at the end we find out, oh, it's only part 1?
Oh, I have a thought on that.
Share your thought first. I bet you we have the same thought.
Reading your mind, of course. My thought, and this is my little bugaboo, but my thought is always, if you're going to do a part 1 and part 2, tell me. I hate going, and I cannot emphasize enough, and our cinema community over time will understand. Surprises are fun for your birthday, for Christmas. Not for a movie. I don't want to go to the movie and say, because it feels like it has the gotcha feel to it.
Yeah.
It's, I brought you in. It feels a very spider in the web. It's, we've got you, and come back and pay us another $12 or $16 and we'll tell you what else happens. That's annoying. If it's part 1, I understand it. My pacing in my head says, okay, I'm going to hear the foundation. I'm going to understand. I know what's coming. That's my thought. I'm happy to invest. If I love your movie, I'm happy to go in and see your second and your third, obviously your 7th movie. Or in the case of Fast X, your 10th movie. If I know going in that you're telling me a long story, because every book I read has more than one chapter.
Well, then it'd just be a short story at that
That's
point.
it. Short attention span theater is fine knowing if there's a part 2.
I think it's nice to know because I actually reframe certain scenes in my mind differently if it's a part 1 versus just a complete closed chapter, end book, end scene.
That's true. Your brain starts to shut down versus expand. Would that be a fair assessment?
Yeah, and I have different critiques for one and dones versus, different sequential entries.
No, that's fair. This is the time for our Moth ratings. Rebecca, what would you give this on a scale of 1 to 5 moths? They're all flying. Where did they land?
This week they're landing at about a 3.
So you'd give it a 3 moth.
Yes.
I think we may have a winner. Rebecca and I typically are a half a wing, half away, or a 1, but usually it's about a half a wing. Originally, I was leaning toward a 2 and a wing.
Yeah.
But the more I thought about it, I sat with it through lunch, thinking a little bit more about the movie. I would say it's a 3 for me as well. Lots of action. I would say it felt very formulaic in many parts, but the action scenes were good. The action scenes were good. The acting itself was good. Mm-hmm. But I don't think I could go above a 3. It's a good movie, though. It's enjoyable.
It's a good movie. I've seen better from this particular team.
And I think that's the other part. It's a standalone, it's a solid 3. Perhaps even more if you said, oh, that's the only one. However, if you put it in the franchise, which they're asking you to do, I would say a 3.
Yeah.
Sure.
If you enjoyed our review on Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, please like, which helps more viewers find our cinema community, and subscribe so you don't miss our upcoming reviews, and please share with your friends.
And now, in our Retro Rewind, we will be discussing Night and Day. June Havens is just trying to get to her sister's wedding in peace, but she keeps bumping into Roy Miller, a spy searching for a device that his friend created. Together, June and Roy try to track down this device while reckoning their emerging feelings for one another. This is also a Tom Cruise movie. What are the odds?
Pretty high.
Pretty high, with Cameron Diaz as June Haven. Tom Cruise actually is known as 2 people. He's known as Roy Miller and Matthew Knight.
Spy.
Total of spy course, move. That's why he has 2 names. And Viola Davis, one of our family favorites. She is actually a CIA director. Her name is Isabel George. This movie is directed by James Mangold. And if our cinema community is familiar with James Mangold, there's a reason why.
We love Ford versus Ferrari, but also for our more recent cinema community members, he directed the new Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny,
which is currently in theaters right now. We had actually just spoke about it, and he also directed that. As you were saying, Rebecca, James Mangold is a name that's familiar to us. Mm-hmm. And you had mentioned Ford versus Ferrari 2019. Actually, Ford versus Ferrari was nominated for Best Picture and lost. Do you remember who they lost to?
I believe they lost to Green Book.
They did.
Everybody lost to Green Book.
I think that's actually true. This movie came out in 2010.
That's correct.
And you and your dad actually went to see it in the theaters?
Yes. Dad and I saw this in initial release.
And I didn't. I actually chose not to see it because I didn't think I would like it.
I remember you decided to stay home because you said the trailer looked predictable.
And we will talk about, was I correct all those years ago? Maybe. Well, I know one part of the movie that stood out, and we will talk a little bit about the acting, the movie, is the composer John Powell. Yes. John Powell. You love John Powell.
I love John Powell's work. His work on How to Train Your Dragon is just awesome. He did a really great job with Solo picking up the John Williams baton. There's a few composers in the Star Wars universe that I've enjoyed, and Powell is one of them.
Well, and he has great variety. As you said, he did the music for Solo. Mm-hmm. And Solo is one of your dad's favorite movies.
Totally. Yeah.
And music is phenomenal. And what's the other music? What did he do?
I mentioned How to Train Your Dragon.
In 2000, what did he do? You don't want to know? Oh, you do. No. Wait for it.
What is it? Are you serious? Happy Feet?
Oh, no, that'd be...
Oh, okay.
No, this is...
Oh, Chicken Run. Okay,
boom.
Chicken Run.
Play charades at our house. It's a blast. So Chicken Run. Oh,
Take
that
a
was
shot
good.
of water.
And Solo, you should have said Solo. I would have been like, wow, 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 wow. Oh, yes. No, Happy Feet. So he has a variety of music that he does.
Yeah, no, he's very versatile.
He's very well, and he's not much older than I am. He's well, okay. He's.
Are you saying you're old?
No, he is. He is. Okay. I'm young. Somehow our decades have collided. I'm just thinking he's done. I had read somewhere he'd done over 70 movies.
He is
prolific. And you were talking about the How to Train Your Dragon. A new one is coming out in 2025.
I'm really excited for us to touch on that.
And he is doing the music. Oh, and Cocoon Cast, our cinema community. Wait for it. It will be here.
It'll be here sooner than you think it will. That's the rule with any movie.
That's true. And the music I appreciate. The screenplay drama. There's screenplay drama.
Oh my gosh, is there drama with this screenplay?
And we want to talk about that. They were saying how many screenwriters originally contributed. However, the screen credit or the writer credit is one person.
Yes.
However, more than 12 contributed to this, and help our cinema community understand how 12 people can contribute. Mm-hmm. However, only one had the credit. Okay. That was a little bit foggy or confusing for me, but you understood that pretty well.
Yeah. So the WGA, Writers Guild of America, aka also the people on strike, their screen credits manual, they have this little funky thing that if you're working on something at the same time, you'll have a little ampersand.
Sure. And that's a little A, right?
Yeah, it's a little funky A.
Right.
If you're working on a different creative team, it'll have the word and, literally A-N-D.
Right, the actual word.
Yes. So usually this is what happens when a writer goes, I have to rewrite this thing. Night and day is unusual because you have over 12 writers. And we pulled this information from an LA Times article written about the production named James Mangold Wrestles Night and Day to the Screen.
Oh, that's a good title. Nice.
Patrick O'Neill gets the writing credit for this movie because it was his original idea, and most of the time he spent rewriting over what everybody else rewrote. So the WGA just goes, writer's credit to you, buddy.
And to me, it's reasonable that he received the credit. I just found it entertaining that literally over 12 people have contributed, and they're like, no one, sorry. And it wasn't, we'll go alphabetically.
Oh, no, not even that.
Not even that.
If you know anything about screenwriting during this point in Hollywood's history, guarantee you'll recognize at least 2-3 names off the bat.
That's true. So it's not random guy, random gal, random guy. Oh, and we know this name. Hey, let's put him up there. It's because of how the Writers Guild processed this.
Yes.
And so it's not personal.
It's just business.
That's right. The other part I found interesting was the casting. Did you know that Tom Cruise was not their first choice?
See, that surprised me because this feels like a very Tom Cruisian film.
It does to me too, and I found it fascinating. Oh, pop quiz.
Oh no.
Cinema community. Will she answer correctly? Who is their first choice?
I have to think about people who were like Tom Cruise during that time period.
The original choice of the person they asked, and this person declined, was Adam Sandler.
Oh my gosh, are you serious?
The Wedding Singer as a spy. Billy Madison as a killer.
Waterboy actually sounds like a really cool spy code name if you think about it.
And truly, I'm not a Billy Madison fan. I loved Wedding Singer.
Wedding Singer is amazing.
His serious roles are great.
Totally.
The Uncut Gems recently. That
was fantastic.
Pretty phenomenal.
A24, we love you.
However, Adam Sandler in this role is
there's some lines, the way that they read him, like when he first jumps on the car, I can kind of see it. Okay, Ryan Reynolds, a young Ryan Reynolds would have been great for this.
But Adam Sandler, or excuse me, Tom Cruise is what, 58, I think?
I never know how old that man is.
Well, he doesn't age. He's the Dick Clark of movies. Do we have any questions from the box?
Given this movie was billed as an action comedy, do you feel like it succeeds as that, or was it weak on one or both of those fronts?
I felt like it was a little weaker in the action department. The comedic part, I feel like they put more effort into.
I would agree. And I think they were more successful in that. Mm-hmm. And it's a little bit unfortunate because it would be great where it could be equal or both, but it felt like the comedy overtook the action. Yeah. And maybe that is why it performed poorly. I have no knowledge to know for sure if that's the case, but I'm just thinking in my head, I'm wondering if that was part of it, where people were going in to go, oh, Tom Cruise. And then it's Tom Cruise likes Cameron Diaz. Cameron Diaz likes him. And I'm wondering if the expectation was different, and that's why it was a little
I'm very glad they focused
office.
A little bit more on the comedy, because comedy is harder to nail.
This is true. That's a good point. I appreciated that. So would you say it's more comedy with some action thrown in?
Yeah, easily.
Okay. Yeah, after hearing that, I don't disagree with that. Do we have any questions from the box?
Given that Teresa didn't see it in the beginning and has now just seen it in 2023, were you bummed you missed it originally, or are you glad you finally saw it, or could you pass on it? Either way.
Wow, that's a loaded question.
No pressure at all, cinema community. I would say there are some movies I have seen in the theater and I revisit, and some of our pre-production shows we were talking about some of the movies we've seen and we revisit, and we love going back to see them again. Mm-hmm. This is one I don't feel like I missed much.
Yeah.
I don't, I miss it. 13 years ago, what was I thinking? I was home taking a bubble bath. I could have been at the theater. I'm like, could have been taking a bubble bath.
I think you were.
I think I was. And is that sad that the bubble bath was more memorable than the movie? But I'm glad I saw it. It was a fun summer movie. As we're recording this, it's summertime here. Mm-hmm. It was just fun. And I think my expectations were in line with what it was. I didn't have overly high expectations, overly high hopes. I don't compare Tom Cruise to Tom Cruise Mission Impossible. I'm glad I saw it for the sake of comparing, especially to Mission Impossible. And as someone who loves movies, you and I both love movies, I think it's good for me to see movies that I'm like, about, or I liked. And I would say I liked it. It doesn't mean I loved it, and I don't regret not seeing it. Now is the time for our moth ratings. Again, flying moths, 1 to 5. Rebecca, what do you think?
I think my moth rating dipped from when I originally saw it. It's dipped about half a wing, so it's a 2.5 for me.
So when you first saw it, it would be a 3.
Yes.
And now 2.5.
2.5.
And what would be the primary reason, or what are a couple of the reasons of why?
I think the more I've gotten older, some of the writing feels a little bit more stale.
That's fair.
And that's some of the acting feels a little bit more flat, given that I've had time to see other performances from these actors. And especially comparing to Vanilla Sky, where both of these actors are bouncing off each other.
And that one did much better at the box office as well.
Yes. But that might be piggybacking off Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
Oh, that's a great movie.
So that was kind of in that genre. Plus you had the lead up with Truman Show.
And that was a better movie, I believe, than this one as well.
I know that they're both Jim Carrey movies, but they kind of paved the way for that genre to succeed.
Oh, that's interesting. I would agree. I think a 3 feels too high for this movie. Mm-hmm. I would say... I honestly, a part of me says 2, but the other part of me says 2 and a wing, 2 and a wing, 2 and a wing.
2 1/3 of a wing?
I think I will go, sold to the 2 wing. I will say 2 for, it wasn't terrible acting. It wasn't a terrible screenplay. It was fun for what it was. Mm-hmm. Is it memorable? Is it regretful that I didn't see it? And that's part of what I look at. I say, well, do I regret not seeing it? And I'm like, well, no. Would I see it again? Sure, if you're flipping through the channels and maybe, but I don't actively say, I really want to see this again. There's no memorable lines where I go, oh, I'm gonna write that on a coffee mug. It's like, no. If you've already seen Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 or Night and Day and want to watch or share our review with a friend, head over to our companion channel, Cocoon Cast Clips, where we take this show and we cut it up into bite-sized clips. Perfect for when you're short on time or just want to share a snack-sized review with your cinema community. Today, Rebecca, is a special day.
Ooh, how special?
Today, we are going to talk about who we are Not sponsored by.
Ah, dang it. I was hoping you would say sponsored by.
Nope, not yet. Today we are not sponsored by Ray-Ban sunglasses.
Is it banned because it's classified and it's Mission Impossible?
It might be, but I don't think so. I think Ray-Ban sunglasses, and everybody knows Ray-Ban sunglasses. You know Ray-Ban sunglasses. The guy in the street knows Ray-Ban sunglasses. And Ray-Ban not to be confused with the neighbor, Ray.
Okay.
Or the pastor, Ray.
Okay.
We're talking Ray-Ban sunglasses, Tom Cruise, 7 Mission Impossible movies, night and day. He's wearing Ray-Ban sunglasses. You think Ray-Ban says, Cocoon cast is highlighting too. Our man, Tom Cruise, our guy. Do you think they say, we need to sponsor them?
No.
They are, no, not even close.
They want to squash them off.
Yes. Ray-Ban's been around forever and ever. And they came out in 1937.
It is a while.
Oh, back in the day, close to my dad's age. Ended up being purchased, 99 by...
Probably Luxottica.
Correct. In 1999, originally Bausch & Lomb. Big company. Everybody knows them. In fact, they're very proud of their company.
How proud are they?
Oh, let's talk about how proud Ray-Ban is of their product. And this isn't even bragging about who wears their sunglasses, because we're going to talk about that. So they claim they have, and this is their quote from, this is their material.
All the salt that I'm going to give them is for their words.
This is their quote. Ray-Ban boasts, their words, not mine, that they have superior optics and UV protection. And they brag. This is, again, their words. They have the most iconic sunglasses. Iconic. And they also sell prescription sunglasses. They sell glasses for kids, 8 to 12. They want you to know that too.
Gotta get them in early.
That's what they do. But do you think they say, Cocoon Cast, we love Cocoon Cast. We want to sponsor them because we want to help young kids. So we want to help the cinema community. We want them to wear our iconic sunglasses. So we're going to sponsor Cocoon Cast. Are they sponsoring us?
No.
No.
I'm not wearing sunglasses today, so no.
And my sunglasses, my glasses, let's see, are they Ray-Ban? No, they're not. So that's a problem. They also make I can't even say it.
Hypoallergenic.
I'll say it again. They also make, starting 2005, hypoallergenic frames.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, hypoallergenic frames.
That's pretty cool. Cool company. People like them. Let's talk about who wears their sunglasses.
Feels like everybody wears their freaking sunglasses.
Everybody wears their sunglasses. Back in the day, Humphrey Bogart, James Dean, my mom's favorite,
Marlon Brando.
Even presidents, JFK wearing the tortoiseshell sunglasses, green lenses, pretty cool looking guy.
Pretty snazzy.
Think they're going to sponsor us?
Still no.
Blues Brothers back in the 80s, the Wayfarer. Yeah. Michael Jackson.
Yep.
Remember Michael Jackson? So he's wearing the Wayfarer, the risky businessy ones, and the Aviator. So he wore both kinds. Their primary iconic pair. Still no sponsorship.
Dang. Dead guy gets sponsored over us.
That's what I'm saying. And even in the Malcolm X movie, Men in Black.
Yeah.
Remember when they put on the glasses and they go, you're going to forget everything.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So apparently,
iconic.
Yeah. So apparently they forgot to sponsor us after that. That just like, woof, we're done. Yeah. 2014, Ray-Ban partnered with Google and they created the Google Glass.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember those.
They've done a lot.
Yeah.
Tom Cruise is their man.
He if you had to put a face on the face of Ray-Bans, it would be Tom Cruise. He's who I think of every time.
Well, let's look at Tom Cruise. So, do we think that Tom Cruise only wears Ray-Bans when he does movies?
I think so. I have pretty good suspicion, just based on the movies that I've watched, that if you told me that Tom Cruise only wore Ray-Bans, I would believe you.
But he wears them everywhere.
Everywhere.
Tom Cruise driving around town. He's in a car. Look, he's on a motorcycle. Wait. No, hold on. Leather jacket. Oh, no, hold on. There he is again. Suede jacket. Apparently he likes leather and suede.
A distinguished gentleman.
A distinguished V-neck sweater. He's going somewhere fancy. Flannel shirt. Hanging out at home. Hanging out with his buddies. With Dustin Hoffman. That's in Rain Man. He's wearing
it's
him
on
again.
The poster.
On the tarmac. He's going on a plane. Hopefully he has a parachute on this one. Sitting in a chair. Just hanging out. Texting on his phone. He's on his phone and he's wearing Ray-Bans. Oh, and no, I think Tom Cruise got lucky. He's got lipstick on it. Oh, look, he's got lipstick there.
He definitely didn't leave those overnight.
Something's going on. Tom Cruise with no shirt. Apparently the flannel shirt went away and he's left with the Ray-Bans, still wearing them. Holding his daughter. Oh, look, there she is. Oh, she's cute.
Yeah, that's sad.
Oh, she's cute. And there he is. Oh, and let's talk about that. When did he start wearing these?
Well, he started wearing these in Risky Business, but I think the public started noticing this wasn't just a fluke when it was Top Gun.
Correct. So in Risky Business, I saw Risky Business. A lot of Tom Cruise dancing in the iconic sunglasses. There is actually information that is said Tom Cruise saved the Wayfarer, the iconic glasses, from being discontinued from their line.
That's wild.
They said after he wore these, and mind you, Tom Cruise is not fully dressed in Risky Business, but the glasses, sales 50% up after he wore them.
That's nuts.
That's nuts. And so they said, hey, if it wasn't for Tom Cruise, we would have canceled or discontinued that line. In 1986, so Risky Business was 83.
Okay.
86 Top Gun comes out. We know before your time, but the last one just came out last year, so you were able to jump on board.
Freaking awesome.
Freaking awesome. Billions of dollars this movie made.
Oh.
And he's wearing the aviator sunglasses. They were saying Navy recruitment after this movie, 500% because of Tom Cruise.
Wonder how many of them were wearing aviators when they signed up.
That's the question. And they said the aviator sales, again, rose 40% on these. Literally, Tom Cruise is everywhere wearing Ray-Ban sunglasses. Are they going to sponsor us?
Still no.
Still no.
It's that time in our show where we want to hear from you, our cinema community. We picked a few comments based on feedback from some of our pre-production shows to discuss this week. And let's hear from our cinema community now.
All right. Hans writes, you too have the most soothing voices, and you're so easy to listen to. Wow. Thanks, Hans. These are the voices we have. We're glad you like them, and we'll try not to change them.
Barring allergy season, of course.
Of course.
Matthew writes, I thought the Batuzzi you did was very funny. Well, Matthew, anytime you review a Batman movie, Mom thinks it's very important to do the Batuzzi, and you're still doing it.
Still doing it. Now it's in my head.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Hey, cinema community. We love reading your comments below, but what we would really love to receive is a video from you. Each week, we give you 2 opportunities to send us a video. This week, we're looking for you to send us a video where you answer the question, what is your favorite Disney movie and why? We'll give you extra points if you wear some Disney merch, or even if you're filming this in Disneyland or Disney World. Our second opportunity is for you to review next week's Retro Rewind, October Sky. You will hear our review, but for the rest of our cinema community, we would love to hear your 60-second opinion of the movie. For your clip, keep it to 60 seconds or less. Film it in landscape with good audio and no music. Then email it to us at hello@cocooncast.com. If you include your name and your mailing address, the first 50 submissions will get a custom Cocoon Cast sticker pack mailed directly to you. That's right. When you join the cinema community, we will send you a very nice thank you. Since this is our first live show, we have asked some of our early supporters in our cinema community to send us a video clip so you can see how it's done. First up, we have Tina, who sent us this clip from the happiest place on earth.
Hi, Rebecca and Teresa. Maybe my location is a clue, but I'm here in Disneyland at the Alice in Wonderland ride because that is my favorite Disney movie. I love the bright colors, the whimsical characters, and the silly storyline. Thanks!
check it out.
I
Tina.
love the production value. I always get really excited when I see members of our cinema community go above and beyond, within respectful guidelines, of course. But it's still nice to see that you get excited about movies just as much as we do.
And Alice in Wonderland, great choice. Nice.
Always a classic.
Very much. Next up, we have this clip from Evan, who is an educator and wanted to take his video to educate our cinema community on what not to do. He decided to film his video not in landscape, but in portrait. And he also goes over 60 seconds. Let's watch Evan's video.
Hey there, Teresa and Rebecca. I hear you're working on some Disney movies and need some input about some people's favorite Disney movies. So it's perfectly timed that I happen to be wearing one of my favorite shirts of one of my favorite Disney movies. Emperor's New Groove. Easily my number one. So, I mean, as far as like why I love this movie, you start off, a wholesome Disney movie. So you have yourself a nice wholesome story with an overarching theme. Starts off with a banger musical number, and then you find out it's the only musical number in the entire movie, but the whole movie is so good that you don't even remember the fact that, oh wait a second, Disney movies are typically known for having music throughout the whole thing. This one really doesn't, and it's so good that like you miss that exists. So that's already a great warning sign of like, oh, this is gonna be a good movie. You've got comedy the whole way through and just all sorts of one-liners and hilarious nonsense. You've got the henchman of the antagonist you just immediately fall in love with for being a hilarious, adorable, big dumb elf who isn't evil, and you just fall in love with him. He's perfect. And then even the main antagonist, you kind of love the character a little bit and the ridiculous nonsense that she pulls. And so it's just hilarious the whole way through, with all-star writing, but then you put an all-star voice actor cast on top of this. Each of the people that are cast for these roles are just perfect for the job, and they bring their own personality into the character, and it just adds to the comedy to the next level. The chemistry between them is incredible, and it's absolutely fantastic. You've got the little kids, Tipo and Chaka, that just perfectly embody the chaos of little kids and siblinghood and everything about the whole movie. I love it. I could quote one-liners all day long about it. If you need a recommendation, there you go. This is it. For me, if it's been a rough week and I need to reset and I need to like re-solidify, like, okay, things are gonna be okay. Pour myself a nice tall glass of Coke and plenty of ice and put on Emperor's New Groove and life will be good again. So there's my recommendation for you. Hope you enjoy it.
And check it out. Emperor's New Groove.
Totally groovy. Pun intended.
That is a great movie. And what's our favorite line from that movie?
No touchy.
No touchy. Thanks, Evan. You're right. That is a great movie. And if you have a bad day, that's a great movie to watch. So thank you, Evan, and thank you for sending us a video on what not to do. And we appreciate you taking your time to educate our cinema community. If you're video shy, maybe you just send us a picture of you and your Disney merch. You won't get a sticker pack, but you will get to show your cinema community spirit. Here's a picture of Big Tony Styles in his favorite Marvel gear. Wow. Have you seen this? Do you know this? Did you recognize this?
Tony's got the gauntlet, man. Now I'm scared.
I'm scared. Use your power for good, Tony, not evil. And I noticed he's holding a cup. How do you hold a cup with the glove?
Pretty carefully.
I think he could drink it. Only his eyes are covered. But sorry, Tony, I guess we're outing you a little bit. So the master of the universe is Big Tony Styles. If he's your friend or your neighbor, be very nice and friendly.
And give him lots of coffee.
Lots of coffee. Yeah, right. That's what he needs, apparently.
Remember, we want to showcase you guys. So please send in your submissions by Wednesday, 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And you just might be on the show. Who knows?
Great. Rebecca, why don't you tell us a little bit about what's happening with Hollywood news?
Sag-Aftra has finally joined the WGA in terms of a strike. This is the first industry-wide shutdown in, I'd say, over 60 years.
And Rebecca, what's SAG-Aftra?
SAG-Aftra is the Screen Actors Guild.
And the Fat Tarantula ran away?
Sadly, no. I love all of my fat tarantulas deeply, but no. It's American Federation of TV and Radio Actors.
And where are you finding this information from?
Katie Kilkenny wrote an excellent write-up on this for The Hollywood Reporter. Everybody's talking about this. This is the news story. This is the big story in town. I know everyone thought that Bob Iger getting his CEO commitment re-upped by Disney is the big story, but this is the story. This is the story.
This is the story. And how many days have they... Well, officially. They've only been on strike how many days?
As of Friday, this is their first official day.
But in the background during pre-production, during the time we hadn't released Cocoon Cast, how many days?
So that's the WGA strike that you're thinking of.
Okay, fair enough.
That is 2 months, 1 week, 5 days.
Wow. And this is a big deal. So
this is a huge deal.
Tell us why this is such a big deal. How is this going to affect Hollywood and what's happening out there?
If you're a SAG-AFTRA member, Rebecca Rubin on Variety has an excellent write-up of what's not going to happen now. A good example is social media promoting of SAG-AFTRA productions. This also includes appearances like convention signings, so Comic-Con is definitely going to be feeling this. Julia Humphrey has a really good article about some of the productions that have already pulled out of Comic-Con as a result of this news. That includes things like Good Omens, The Rookie, and That 70s Show. I know those are TV productions, but they are still SAG-AFTRA members, so that's going to affect the movie productions as well, too.
And that may affect new movies and release dates, and we were talking about television shows.
Big time.
Does it affect only new productions or reruns and that sort of thing as well, or...?
I would say seeing that 70s Show is pulling out, it's also speaking to the issue that a lot of SAG-AFTRA members feel that they're not getting enough on residuals, especially for streaming services.
Okay.
Mara Wilson had a tweet where she talks about she's been in all of these iconic movies and she hasn't made enough to meet the medical insurance.
Well, and I had read that there was a piece around the concept of if we had done a piece that the studio has permission to use it as many times as they want.
Yes.
And pay them one time for a daily wage. Is that correct?
So there's a whole industry trend that's called scanning.
That's it.
It's basically you take an extra, you throw them through a LiDAR scan, which is like a advanced 3D mapping scan. Mm-hmm. And you can use this actor or actress in any production you want because you have the rights to their likeness in perpetuity.
And it's not only production, it can be visual imaging and print production.
Anything that this production has licensed to.
Correct. So
Fran Drescher was definitely highlighting this in her speech this morning.
And Fran Drescher is the president of the union, is that correct?
That's correct. And for those of you who don't know, she's also the lead in The Nanny.
Oh, back in the day. In the day, I remember that. She's very vocal at this point.
Give you an idea how many years it's been since a strike. The last time this happened, Ronald Reagan was president of the not the WGA, the SAG-AFTRA.
Wow. And that was before he was president?
Uh-huh.
It wasn't a concurrent, he's president and...
A lot of studios are scrambling because this includes for your consideration events that's considered campaigning. The rumor is that the Oppenheimer cast specifically pushed back some of their stuff an hour so that they could just leave right after the movie.
Wow.
No exit interviews, nothing.
Wow.
In fact, Paramount Plus, trying to get some good publicity, has also canceled their red carpet premiere. There was a show called Special Ops Lioness with Zoe Saldana, Nicole Kidman. Their red carpet premiere has been canceled.
Wow. So
that
it's
was supposed
not
to
even
happen
postponed.
Tuesday. No. Gone. Done.
Wow.
El finito.
Wow.
But there's also some very interesting loopholes that have been occurring. Deadline had an article from Matt Groban that was published late last night. It was talking about how if you're part of the Actors Equity Association, that's for stage managers, also some Broadway production. If you're an equity co-production, like a lot of the HBO shows are, like House of the Dragon, the upcoming Dune Sisterhood show, these will still be in production. So SAG-AFTRA members are expected to report to these shows. Mm-hmm. If you have any questions about this kind of thing, sagafrastrike.org. It's linked from the official Sag-Aftra Twitter.
Okay.
So we know it's a reputable source.
Sure. And it's the source that they're using, correct?
Yes.
Not just the general public or people that are interested.
Yes, that's the source that they're using. They have contact information. So if anybody has any questions about your production, follow up with them.
That's great. Do we have any questions from the box about this?
Given that this is the first joint strike in 63 years, do you think the strike has legs to go the distance like the other joint strike?
I think it does. This issue of AI is a very real and tangible issue now.
Well, it's very relevant to today.
Especially given that OpenAI has shown us the future and some people don't like it. So I think that this strike can keep going because people have seen what's on the other side if they don't.
Well, and more people are joining. It's not getting any smaller. It's more people, more organizations are joining them, and they have a lot of support in Hollywood, from my understanding. In other Hollywood news, a little bit lighter of a story. Story about Alex Honnold and Tommy Caldwell. Two climbing bros are on a new adventure. Gear Junkie reports with Andrew McLemore, who is the author. He actually is following Alex Honnold, and many of our cinema community will remember Alex Honnold as the Free Soloist, the Net Geo Jimmy Chin movie.
One of many.
Won the Academy Award. Great movie. Can't recommend that one highly enough. And I know you follow Alex on Instagram.
Yes, I follow Alex on Twitter and Instagram.
And his wife also.
Yes.
And Tommy, do you follow Tommy as well?
I follow Tommy, but the algorithm's kind of screwy, but I definitely seek out Tommy's content.
Okay. And so for our cinema community who doesn't know, so Alex Honnold and Tommy Caldwell, and Tommy Caldwell is a big part of the climbing community, been more active than Alex, a little bit younger than him. They are planning a 2,000-mile cycle trip from Colorado, which is Tommy's home state, to Alaska.
Mm.
Not a lot of details, a little bit foggy. They're talking about they're going to do some climbing. They haven't really identified where they're climbing. No details at this point. The goal is to learn more about climate change, report on that, and talk. I was laughing. And talk about their journeys. And so far, I've read both of their Instagram posts. And the biggest part, it was funny because Tommy says, we took off from my home in Colorado. We're on this big adventure. At least we're going to burn a lot of calories. Really humorous. And then there's a video where they encounter this big snake on their trail.
Not the snakes!
This little coiled rattlesnake on the trail. And you're thinking, they just took off. So the pictures are pretty funny. And Alex, if you have seen Free Solo, know much about him, is a little bit more, he has a great sense of humor, but a little bit more serious. He's like, we're heading through Wyoming and we're planning the path. And Tommy's over there, coiled snake. So, and I would say what's great about this is not only fun reading, fun to go on Instagram and watch their journeys, but National Geographic, or Net Geo, as many of our cinema community would know them, is actually going to feature several documentaries featuring Alex and this trip. They're talking about, I think the name is The Last Frontier with Alex Honnold.
They've been doing a lot of miniseries recently.
This is right. I'm clearly looking forward to it. I love the climbing community, what it represents. I love the adventure piece. And I'm looking forward to a National Geographic documentary. They tend to do very good documentaries when it comes to that, and they tend to be a big fan of Alex and Tommy. Tommy's a little bit quieter, but right, he's no slouch. It's great.
It's nice to see the young and the old creating stories together, because it's so easy to focus on just the young perspective. It's so easy just to focus on the old perspective. And it's nice to see such an organic friendship translate.
It's the definition of what you say, the bromance, right? The definition.
It's a total bromance. I'm
And Alex is in his 30s, late 30s at this point. So he's not, too young.
But for the climbing community, he's still young-ish.
He's young-ish.
He's middle-aged climbing community.
Wow, 38's middle-aged. I should have stuck to the climbing community.
But it's nice to see, not only can we learn from them, but it's kind of interesting to see the different perspectives on life if you're not exposed to it as much.
I would agree. Do we have any questions from the box?
Are you excited to see Alex transition to the bike, or will you always think of him just hanging off the side of a mountain?
Well, I'm happy to see Alex any which way he goes. He's very inspiring to me, and his personality is very much like other people we know, pretty linear, pretty exact, with a sense of humor about what he does. There's some humility about him that I really appreciate. My bias, of course, is thinking of him in the climbing community, and it sounds like that is his passion. I actually love biking, so I think it's great to hear him doing something different. I think he is more versatile. I think he is more than just climbing, as we saw when he was married a few years back, birth of his daughter. He feels very relatable, and the messages that he sends, the inspiring works that he does, really, to me, sits well. I'm able to make the transition from the hanging off the side of the wall, though that may be my visual of him, to the biking. I think that's a nice natural connection, or a transition, I should say. What about you?
For me, there's always going to be the iconic image of Alex just on the ledge by Jimmy.
And that's a Jimmy Chin photograph for Net Geo.
That's probably just the first thing I think of automatically when I think of Alex.
Yes.
I remember reading about his exploits like when I was younger.
Right. We were reading that in National Geographic before it was a movie.
And in the New York Times. The New York Times reports a lot of climbing community, Outside magazine.
That's true.
Correct?
Outsider and, it's Outside and then climbing and correct.
Yeah, I just remember following these journeys. It makes sense that Alex is going towards biking. It fits his natural ethos towards the environment. So I can get used to it from that perspective, but there's always just going to be that image in the back of my mind.
Correct. So I'm up for watching it. I'm excited to watch it.
Yeah, I'm excited to see how his image changes in my mind, but also to see how he grows as a person.
Well, and honestly, our cinema community, if you're familiar with Alex Honnold or Tommy, comment below. What's your thought? Is your visual the one Rebecca's talking about where he's on the ledge, he's in the red shirt, and he's right up against the wall? And if you saw Free Solo, what was your experience? I know Rebecca and I have talked about Free Solo. I think I've seen it more than several of our friends combined at this point. I think I've seen it 5 times. Probably see it another 5 more times. Love Jimmy Chin, him and his wife, their production company, just the photography of Jimmy is phenomenal.
And the humanity that the Chins bring to their subjects.
Correct.
Is quite amazing. If you want a quick glimpse into Tommy's climbing career, I recommend Meru.
Oh, right. Meru. Oh, that's a wonderful movie. And if you are a climbing fan or an aficionado, if you are just scared to death of anything higher than 2 feet, getting on the elevator, climbing up the stairs, we would love to hear from our cinema community what your experience with that is. And what's your thought? Is Alex, putting Alex on a bike, does that just feel too funny? Comment below. Let us know what you think. Thanks for joining us this week. We're always excited to create experiences to bring our cinema community together.
Next week, we're excited to be reviewing the explosive historical epic Oppenheimer. And for our Retro Rewind, we'll be checking out October Sky. So please send in your 60-second review of October Sky.
And also don't forget this week's question. What is your favorite Disney movie and why? And send it to hello@cocooncast.com. Please remember to like, subscribe, and to share our channel.
If you enjoyed the show, you might click the link to watch our Easter egg ending, which are some funny clips and outtakes from our pre-production videos. Lighting's off, set isn't finished, and our hair might be a mess, but hopefully they give you a laugh.
Remember, cinema community, movies are better together. Thanks for watching. See you next week.